Minigames. Not only can they make your server more fun, they can also increase activity drastically. If you don't have minigames on your server yet, a counting channel is a great place to start. It's fun competing for the top spot on the leaderboard, and unlocking special roles adds a new layer to your server. Also gives people a reason to keep coming back. So, with all that said, let's begin. Alright, so I'm here in Discord. Before we set up the counting channel, we must first invite the bot that will make it all possible. So let's go to our internet browser and head over to counter.xyz, and that is spelled without the E. Bars. Or just search for counter. Now to actually get the bot in our server, we're going to need to go over to the documentation up here, and there will be this button here, add the bot to your server using this invite link. So let's click that and open that up, and you might need to log in, but I don't have to, so what I'm going to do is add that to my server. Alright, there we go, add to server. Now I'd recommend keeping these all checked, just to iron out any issues later on with setting up the actual counting channel, since this is all the permissions it needs. So I'm going to keep these activated right here, and I'm going to authorize that, and there we go. So now we can close out of our browser. Here we go. Okay, now let's set up the channel in which counting will take place, since we need to make a dedicated channel for that. Now there's two ways we could do this. We could either let the bot set it up automatically, or we can make our own. Just be aware that if you do it yourself, then you have to worry about getting all the channel permissions correct. However, if the counter bot does it, it will give itself the permissions it needs. So in that case, let's get the bot to do it. So I'm going to head over to my commands channel here, and we're going to want to type a command, as you may have guessed. So let's go to use apps, and let's type /channels space new, and it should come up with this here. And then you've got some optional parameters here, you can leave it as it is. I'll just leave the name as the default for now. And there we go, just like that, really quickly. And the channel's right here. You might need to go scrolling looking for it, but mine's right here. So I'm going to go and open it up. But what I'm actually going to do is edit the channel, because I don't like the name as it is. Now if I just type out something right here, you can see the message will be deleted. We're going to need to type number 1. As you can see, that one's still there. Now if I type 2, that will be deleted. The reason that is because you can't type multiple numbers in a row. So essentially someone else is going to have to come and type the number 2. I can't do that because I've already set the last number. Alright, so that's all there is to it. But next what we're going to do is actually set up the roles. These will be given out when you hit certain milestones. So if I count 50 times, I can unlock a special role, which you only get from counting 50 times. So let's go up to server settings and go into roles. And I don't like this menu right here, so I'm going to go into this one. Alright, so however many roles you add, depends on how many role rewards you want. I'm going to go with 3. That's usually the number I like to go for. That's definitely not 3. And because these roles are going to be completely cosmetic, they won't give you any permissions, but you can of course set up some permissions if you want. Like if someone unlocks the role, they'll be able to use a soundboard or something like that. It's up to you, but I'm just going to keep it cosmetic. So I don't want any permissions. Now I'm just going to type out the role names that I want. And now I'm going to give them some colour. Alright, so I've got my role set up here. Essentially I've put the requirements in the name already, because I know how many numbers I want the user to count to get the role. You don't have to keep it in the name, it's just optional. But I've got 25, 100 and 250. So I'm going to X out of that, and it won't work straight off the bat. We've just created some roles. Now we're going to actually need to set up the rewards. This is where it gets a bit more technical. So I'm going to go back to the commands channel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to use apps, and it's actually right here. So the command we're going to want to use is /flows create. Essentially the whole reward system is created with this thing called flows. So let's send that. Okay, so if it says the application did not respond, the reason that happened for me is because the bot does not have permission to access the channel. So I don't know if it needs to be able to send messages, but I assigned it that and view channel, and it's working now. Anyway, this is the flow editor. So what we're going to do first is click next. So what we're doing now is setting up the trigger. So basically if we click this box here and create a new trigger, we'll get these options here. So the trigger basically refers to the requirement to get the role. Now the ones I often like to use is each X number or score of X. Essentially each X number, what that means is if I have not counted any numbers before and then I suddenly just jump in the channel and count the number 50 or 100 or 150, it's got to be multiple, it will activate this trigger which will get me the role reward. However with score of X, for example score of 50, I'm going to have to type 50 times. So with each I can just type once. As long as I type the number 50 then that will trigger. However if it's score, I will just need to type 50 times to get the role. So the one I'm going to use is score of X. And we're going to type the number that we want. So the role reward I set up was 50. So you're going to need to type 50 times to unlock this role. So 50. Does this look right? Yes it does. Okay, and if we made a mistake we can go back and edit, but we got it right. So let's click done, and that's it for that. So let's click next, and now we're on to the actions. Basically this is what happens when the trigger's met. So in our case, if we click that, let's select a action type, and this will be where we give the role out. So let's just give a role, just like that. We've got a bunch of options, but let's go with that. And now we can select the role that we want to use. If we've got a bunch of roles, we can just type out, for example, count, and it will come up with these roles here. Now, I just realised the role I set up was not 50, it was 25, so I'm going to have to edit that. But we can change it, which is good. So anyway, I'm going to continue with this for now. That does look right, so I'm going to click yes. Though I suppose this does make a good point. If we want to go back and edit, what we can do is we can click back. We'll go back to the trigger, and we can edit this trigger right here. Currently it's 50, but I meant to put 25, I didn't realise. So we'll type 25 and submit that. Yep, now it actually looks right. Click done, next, and that's all perfect now. So let's click next, and there's some other options here. We can like set a name for the trigger, but I'm not going to worry about any of that. So let's click save, and there we go, flow, and then it will give the ID here. So you can go back and edit it later on if you need to. Has been saved successfully. Now obviously that's just for one role. We can go back and create another flow. You might be able to do it in the same flow. I'm not really sure about that. I just tend to make separate flows, but you get the general gist of it. So I'm not going to go over setting the other ones up because it's just the same thing. Anyway, let's actually test this in action.
A lot of boring math later.
Alright, so we've been counting for a little bit, and I've counted at least 25 times now. So let's take a look, see if I got the role. And sure enough, there it is. Novice, count 25. And now here's something else I hope you'll really like. Trust me, it's an even bigger upgrade than this one. But before you go, check out my high quality collection of all the emojis, role icons, and headers you will ever need to make a breathtaking server at anode.gumroad.com/al/assets. Oh yeah, there's a free option too.